One of the questions I get asked frequently is, why does it take multiple visits when you go to a chiropractor? And when people come to me, I'll do a full assessment, and you can refer to my first visit video on your first visit and watch that video. But why does it take multiple visits? A lot of times people will go, I went to the chiropractor and they told me it would take 10 visits or it would take 15 visits. And that is a true statement, that it does take multiple visits when someone comes in. So we'll use an example of low back. Someone comes in with low back pain. A general rule of thumb is, for each month that the pain has been going on, is generally one visit. That's a general rule of thumb. There are also many different factors that are involved. When people come in, I'll do a full assessment on them, and I'll determine how far their pelvis is off, how far one leg is shorter than the other, and that will also give me an indicator on how many visits that person will take. If someone was in a recent accident, say they fell down or they twisted their back and their back went out, and if it's not too long, those conditions, those acute conditions, can really benefit from chiropractic, but it may take only 1, 2, maybe 3 visits to get them back on. But the chronic, long-standing conditions with, for example, low back, for each month is about 1 visit. And some people, when they hear that, they may freak out because they'll say, oh, I've had low back pain. I've had low back pain for 20 years. 20 years times 12 is blah, 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 blah. And they're going, oh, that's going to take 140 visits. Well, not necessarily, because I'm really good at what I do. And generally, for the chronic, long-standing, long-term conditions like a long-term chronic low back, I can usually knock that out or improve that to its maximum potential in at least in 10 to 12 visits. So the rule of thumb is one visit per month of how long something's been going on. But that does vary, and there's factors involved. But why can't someone come to me and say, well, if you're so good, why can't you just knock it back into place in one visit? I'll give you some analogies and examples. So if someone goes into the gym and they're like, I really want to work out my bicep and I want to get it nice and strong, I'm going to go to the gym, and they go to a trainer, and the trainer says, well, I really need you to come back 3 times a week for say 6 weeks. Why 3 times a week for 6 weeks? Well, we want to work you out a half hour at a time and get that muscle built up. Well, the logic would say, well, if it's half hour at a time, I can go once a week or just do a 6-hour workout in one day, and that muscle will be really big. Well, the body doesn't work that way. The body needs an adaptation time period for each change that's made to the body. So when you work out, you start off easy and you start building it up until you get the change that you want. Chiropractic is the same way. When you come in and I assess you and your leg lengths are far off, and we'll talk about that in a different video, and we find out that I use the word jacked up, your body's really jacked up, then it's going to take multiple visits, maybe sometimes 6, maybe sometimes 10 visits. And each visit that you come in, I will make a gradual change in the body, enough that it'll make a difference, but not too much that it's going to cause a reaction. And that's the most important thing. Sometimes people come in and they say, I went to a chiropractor, but I hurt a lot worse the next day, so I never went back. And that is a valid thing. That means that the chiropractor you went to did not do a proper assessment and did too much on that first treatment. And so it's much better to go gradual, a little bit easier, and each subsequent visit, I will reassess you and figure out how much more change we can make. So you can't go from here to here in an instant bound. That's something called surgery, and that's why a lot of people come to chiropractors, because they want to avoid the surgical intervention. So your leg lengths are far off, and we'll talk about that in a separate video. One leg is here and one leg is here, and we've got to balance out the body so everything lines up. You come in like this, and we're going to balance you out. Well, generally, you can't go from here to here. Just like growing your bicep muscle, you can't go to the gym and say, well, I don't want to go 3 times a week for a month. That's crazy. That's 12 visits. Let me just go ahead and do it in one day. I've got 12 hours on a Saturday. I'll just work that muscle up for 12 hours. That would be ridiculous, and people understand that. But with chiropractic, it's the same principle. Another analogy I like to use is, what do you call those people? Those dentist people, those orthodontist people. You don't go and say, oh, I need to get braces, and get the braces on and just pull the teeth back into place. Things would break and it would be very uncomfortable. Gradually, over time, and that's why it takes multiple visits when you go to a chiropractor. If you're one of the very few lucky ones, for example, a 7 or 8-year-old child that may have an issue, kids are very resilient and sometimes can benefit from just one adjustment. But as we advance in time and age, it can take, and usually does take, multiple visits. So if you're watching this video and think, oh, I'm going to go to see Dr. David and I'm going to get one adjustment and that's all I'll need, probably better to reassess that and just know that we work gradually over time to allow the body to come back into balance in a gradual sense, in a comfortable sense, where the body can adapt to the changes that are made with each adjustment, especially when we're working with the spine, the extremities, the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments, and so on and so forth. All the other additional therapies that I do complement the adjustment process. The meridian work, the chakra work, the auric work, and also some of the spiritual approaches that I also integrate into my practice help expedite the healing process. That's why when you come to me, you will never ever hear, you need to come 30 times. That will never ever exit my mouth. Your maximal treatment plan generally, if someone's in a severe case, can be 12, 13, maybe 14 visits, because I am really good at what I do, and I can maximize your time. I can maximize the value that you are investing into coming here and seeing me and get you feeling better very quickly.